lot of people aspire to have a big, giant home gym with a lot of equipment. And mind you, this is not a big space if you see most home gyms on YouTube. But let's be realistic, not everybody has a big home gym space, and sometimes we have to do it with just a spare bedroom that we can install a home gym in. And that is exactly what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to look at a tiny home gym transformation and build. And there are some parameters that are going to be very exciting for you guys. So let's dive right into it. If we're thinking about a tiny home gym restricted space, what I'm thinking about is like a half rack, because that takes up less space than a full-blown power rack. And what I'm also thinking is maybe an integrated cable pulley machine into our power rack, because that allows us to save up space. But actually that is not what we're going for in today's video. So let's discuss our constraints, or as I like to call them, parameters. So the first thing is space. So we're talking about a room of 3.4 meters by 2.1 meters. So that's not a lot of room. That's 7.4 square meters, or 80 square feet. The next constraint is there are two people training at once, and it's a couple that's going to work out in their home gym. We need to think about that as we're building our home gym. Another parameter is the type of training that they're doing. So the goals are basically more power building oriented, like strength training through powerlifting, but also like having those like bodybuilder type exercises, and they're mainly working with free weights. And also, if we're talking about price, it's not a factor. We can go all out if we want. So let's start with the power rack. So we didn't go with a half rack, and we didn't go with a power rack with integrated cable pulley, because we want two people working out at the same time. So one person is going to train in the rack and the other person is going to train outside of the rack. If you're using the cable pulley, basically your complete power rack becomes useless. That's why they opted for a separate plate-loaded cable pulley machine. That's very nice, because that way they can both train at the same time. Another thing to consider is the power rack itself. If you're going with a very bulky power rack with uprights of 3x3, your room is going to look small very fast. And that's why we went with a 2x2, and that is plenty for home gym use. This thing is going to last forever. Also, it's nicely power coded. It's ATX branded, like all the equipment here. So we are going with ATX. Keep in mind, you can find the same things on Titan Fitness, on Rogue, on Rep Fitness. That's all the same. We're just going with one brand here because we're based in Europe. But if you're in America, you want to go with Rogue, you will find the same options. The power rack also has a nice multi-grip pull-up bar, which is very cool. It has a thick bar, which I really like. I miss that on my power rack. You can hang rings on top of that, so that opens up the exercise selection even more. As it comes to the barbell, because we're in a limited space, they opted for a women's bar, which is actually just as strong as a men's bar. It's just only weighing 15 kilos and it's not as long. And that way they could optimize their space and not ending up hitting the walls or the window when they unrack or re-rack the weights. For the plate storage, they didn't went with a 6-post rack, but they went with plate storage on the lower end of their power rack. That is because they went smart about picking their weights. They didn't go for all the weights like I did, because I wanted to have all the colors. They went smart and they didn't pick the 15 kilo plates and the 25 kilo plates. That had them limited the amount of plate storage that they needed. All of their smaller plates they can store on top of their rack, because that makes it also space efficient. Another thing that they considered with the weights is the fact that they have handles. And I never really thought about it before, but if we're having plates like this, which are completely full, it's difficult to take out. You really have to stand in front of the weights in order to unload them. With handles, that's out of the question. You just grab the handle, you slide the weight out, and if you're using the cable, you can slide it right onto the cable machine. So for storage as well, they keep their barbell on the power rack, which is perfectly fine. If you have a gun rack, the bar is also going to be held up in the same manner. So why not just store your barbell on your power rack? perfectly fine. In order to save on space, they opted for neodymium magnets with hooks, so that way they can store their attachments onto their pulley machine by just putting that magnet on there. As it comes to floors, we went with rubber tiles, like the same ones as here. Thick rubber tiles that are going to be protecting the floor underneath. You always have to consider that. Something that they had a problem with, and that's something that I have as well, is that the door goes inwards. So door going inwards means a square meter lost. So you can't put any tiles on there. So that meant that they would have to have an open space of 1 square meter. But the advantage of having the home gym in a spare bedroom makes it that the home gym is in your house. So there's no need to be able to close the door. So what they did was they took the door out and they tiled off the home gym just until the door opening. That gave them an extra square meter of space to work with. Also, that makes it a lot easier to use the cable pulley, and the door just went straight up the attic. So one of the things that they're still waiting for is a landmine attachment, because that's very scarce. Also, safety bars, you gotta have safety bars. I recommend it to have safety bars that hang out of the power rack. That way you can use them in and out of the power rack. You have one set of safeties just for the complete setup. And then the last piece of equipment that they're still waiting for are dip bars. Dip bars, great choice for just hitting those triceps and upper chest. For a bench, obviously you have to go with an adjustable bench. A great thing about almost any bench is that you can put them upright so they're out of the way if you don't need anything bench related. And even though the feet of the power rack come very far forward, they still found a way to maneuver the bench out of that so you can use it for the cable machine. Very nifty trick that they used there. For dumbbells, they went with Nuobells, a very compact piece of dumbbells. I made a review about that. So they are using that on the daily. It's very space efficient and it changes quickly, so a very good option there. So there you have it, everything in this tiny home gym for only 3,500 euros, including the things that they still want to buy. So I think that's a real steal. So yes, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you're now inspired to build your own tiny home gym, and that you don't have to think that you need a big open space, because mind you, they train with 2 people over there and it doesn't feel crowded at all. So let me know in the comments down below what you would do different in that home gym, and I'm happy to discuss, and I guess I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace!